Hello guys, I am Samarpan Dasgupta back again with new tutorial video. In this video we are going to make an image search engine using Flutter. Without wasting any time, let's get started. So guys, I am creating a new basic project in Flutter and made some important directory explaining about it. For image searching, we will call a API definitely, and therefore we made a folder named as API. In that folder, you can see a file name as constant where we make the base URL and other things of the API. And under that collection folder, we will call the API in such a manner in an organized way. Next, you can see here is the config folder. So here we made some color correction and text style correction just for the sake of simplicity and easy of calling. You can make it hard coded. It is totally in your choice. After that, there is a folder provider. So for the state management in this project, we are going to use provider. So here all the operation of provider will be there. After that, there is a folder named as screens where all the screens will be made and all the components of the screen will be there. After that, you can see the services folder here. Here in the services folder, you can see a file name as device specific operation. Here we are just maintaining about some status bar, navigation bar, color change, and some just like operations. So let's come to the next part of the tutorial. So as the next step, you have to come to that website pixels.com where you can download free stock photos and use for the commercial purpose as well. But for in this project, we are going to use that API. So you have to first make an account in that. If you don't have an account, make sure please make an account here. Then over here in the profile, go to the images and video API. Click on your API key. And that's your API key. Copy that sincerely. Next, come to the Android Studio screen. Under the project root, make a new file name as .env because that crucial information we don't present in publicly. We give in a .env file. Here, just like you write. So in the .env file, it is registered. And make sure when you use the .env file, go to the pubspec.yaml. Come to that asset place. Here you have to write assets and then you have to write .env. Okay. After that, we have to install some packages here that is important for our project. So the first package in our project is going to use HTTP for API call purpose. Next, we have to install shared preferences because that package is important to store the necessary information in the local storage. After that, we have to use Flutter staggered grid view. This is used to show the images in a grid view so that it will be adjusted in a container with their proper width and size automatically. After that, we have to use provider for the state management as well. After that, we have to use simmer. This is for the loading purpose of the images. After that, we have to use cached network image. This is so used for showing the network images with a proper loading. After that, we have to use new packages name as share plus. This is used for sharing images throughout other apps and other places. After that, we have to use flutter.env. This is used to use that .env file data in our project file. So that all the packages we are going to use it. So after that, obviously we have to run flutter pub-get. So now we can go to the coding section. First, come to the main dot. As usual, delete everything. Then write our favorite package material dot. After that, we have to use void main. And here we have to run the app. Okay. So make a stateless widget here. Now we have to use that .env file data to be loaded in our project. So we have to use .env dot load and the file name is .env, same name that is mentioned here, .env. Okay, and you know all, before the run if we load the things, we have to use widget flutter binding dot ensure initialize. But the thing is that that load is a asynchronous process, so for that we have to use async, and obviously we have to wrap that void with future. Okay, so that's the main dot. More changes will be coming soon. After that, we have to go to the sprint section and make a new dart file name as base sprint dart. Here we have to make a stateful widget name as base sprint, and obviously in the main dart we have to connect that home with that base sprint. Okay, come back here. So in the demo video, you can see that there is a column, some page, then search bar, some page, then the image container. So we make a column here, and first we have to give a pacing from the topmost about 30. Then we have to give heading name as search photo, or betterly to say search image, and we use our textile collection class that is present under config folder, and we use normally. After that, we give a page mode about 15 of height, and then we have to make the search bar. So for that is a component basically. So under the sprint folder, we make a new folder name as components, and under the components folder we have to make a new file name as search sprint dot or search section dot. Literally to say, because it's the component. So what we can do here, import material dot as usual, and we have to call that search section from here. Okay, now we have to design our search bar. So I write some simple line of code. So that app colors is made under the color collection class, and all the members are static, so you can call with the class name as well. Okay, so that's why we make the color here. There is a lot of color collection, you can hard code it that as well. And here I am placing some of the design. You can design your search bar as well, and this is some simple of the design. Okay, here I make that method on editing complete. So what that method will do, we are calling the API in two manners. One will with on change method, and other will on editing complete. What the difference between that? In on change method, if we call the API, so then writing after every character or editing every character, the API will call. So the API calling will be increases. That will be a load, and your app may be blocked from the pixel side because there is a API restriction. So what on editing complete will do, when user complete the writing and click on the OK, then the picture will become. And that's the beauty of on editing complete, so that you can use your API very much efficiently. To come to the image state, and this is not the mandatory step, you can skip here. We are designing some navigation and others design, because if you go here, you can see there is some common parameter and default parameter present, which makes our app so much beautiful from the status and navigation bar view. So that's all about the search section. So our search sprint is completed. Now we have to go to the base sprint dot, and after that you can see after the search sprint there is a gap about size box, and height will be around 15. Then we will have to make the image container. But before making the image container, we make a provider at first, so that we can use the data seamlessly when we make the image container. So come to the provider section, and make our provider name as main provider dot dot, because we will going to use a single provider in this project particularly. So here in the main provider, we have to first import our favorite package material dot dot, and after that we have to make a class name as main provider and extension notifier, and we have to now initialize some variable in the provider as well. So we have to check is CML loading is happening or not. By default it will be false, because basically when you open the app there is no CML loading at first. And we have to check one more thing, if the scrolling is reached at the bottom of the screen or not. When you scroll down to the app, the new images will be loaded. So we have to check if it is at bottom or not. So by default it will be false. After that we will declare some variable just like page index, and by default it is 0. So what's the page index? When we call the API, there is a parameter name as page, and in each page some amount of picture will become. So here we have to control the page index, just like you have to search for just like India, and when you scroll down there will be page 2 will be called, and when that will be scroll down page 3 will be called, and there will be a certain number of pages there. Okay, and now we have to store the current search query that the data is fetching from the API. So that's for the current search query we have to store here. Then we have to store images collection, and here all the images will be stored. So we have to maintain the scroll as well. So for that we have to declare scroll controller and making the object of it. Then we have to control what is written on the search bar. So we have to use the text editing controller. Now we have to get that of the things just like scroll controller, text editing controller from that provider, so we can use from the widget tree as well. So most of the getter we already made. Update CML loading status. So that will update CML loading is started or not. Then we have to update the search query. Now we have to make the most important function of this project and the provider, and this is on search. And sometimes that also will happen, because in a same topic when we are searching and we are scroll down and the new things is load, then the search query will be same, but the new data will be getting updated. So we have to consider a situation for that, because in this situation the search query will not getting updated, but the new data will become. So we have to use a new parameter. There will be a more of asynchronous operation is going to perform in that method, so we have to write asynchronous here. Now come to the API part. So here we have to use some base URL and endpoint of the Pixels API. Here I made in such a way so it will be distributed base URL, search URL, query parameter, per page param, and that will be per page and page. Okay, so actually I distributed in that way. If you want, you can write all the things in a single line as a hard coded. Whatever you choose, it is totally your choice. I love that distributed way, so I write in that way. And under that collection, we make a new method, search apis dot dot. the thing we made just now, key collection dot pixels API key, we are going to use it here. Okay, so I close that so that you can look properly. So it will definitely give you a response, so that will be asynchronous and await final response. Okay, the API part is complete. Let's get back to the main provider. Here you have to call the API. So what will be that? Search APIs dot on image search. You have to pass the query here. What is that? Search query. And obviously you have to pass the page index to get the images from a particular page. We have to call it await because it will take the data from the API and it will return the decoded body that is coming from the API. Okay. And if the new images is come under the image container, that means the bottom is going below. So what we can do, we make a new method. Now we only left with the spooling part as well. So what we can do, format the code at first, come here. We can do that thing here as well. So what we can do, initialize scrolling, because we have to initialize the scrolling also. So what we can do here, scroll controller dot add listener, we have to make a listener so that we can identify where the scrolling is now, in the bottom, in the top, in the middle, in what position they are. So we have to make a new method. If I can write it properly and make a method here. And we also call that method as well from the dispose method of that provider as well. So what we make, dispose and scroll controller remove listeners, and we have to pass same that listeners method. If I can write it, yeah. In the listener method, what we have to do? So what that basically means, if it is not at bottom and that current scroll position is the maximum scroll position minus 200, that means we have to now call the same API with the same query but from the next page index, so that we can add new pictures. And for that we change bottom status as true, so that it will not at bottom because the new data is coming, and on search with the same with that parameter consider current search query, so that with the same search query new page index will be called and the new data will be there. And what that the second condition basically means, if it is at bottom and the current position of the scrolling is less than our targeted position, then what we have to do, we have to do the update the bottom status is false, because if that is less we have to consider at bottom false, we are not at the bottom. Okay, so that's about our main provider dot. Now we have to get back to the widget tree part. So after the main provider is completed, let's go to the component section where we make the search section as well, and now we integrate that provider with that search section. Okay, so okay, so here we have to do one more thing. Here we have to take the controller that we made under the main provider. So what we can write, provider dot of context, and give the provider name obviously here. The provider name is main provider and search controller. And when the editing is complete, what we say, we first hide the keyboard, because when the editing is complete and the picture is coming, we have to first hide the keyboard so that that will not interrupt our clear view. And then what we can do, we have to call on search method under the main provider. So and that on search. Okay, and that's the provider integration with the search section. Now new section will become there. About, go to the components, make a new file here, dot file obviously. So what we are going to do here, we make a new material, our favorite, and make a stateful section. So image container component, if I can write it. So before proceeding here, we first go to that base screen dot dot, and after that here we have to mention what about image container component. Okay, before starting off making the widget, first we have to initiate here, and as I said, in the image container there will be a schooling section. So we have to call that So if you have any confusion how that the data is came, just call that API. You can print that API here as well. And you can test it any testing API testing tool just like Postman and other things as well, if you know that. So it is coming, a particular image is a map where the source key is present, and under that source key there is many items just like large, original, 2x large, small. So we consider large, and if this the large is not present, we use the original. Now we have to make a new method where we can go to the screen where the photo will view in the full screen, and we can share the image with the double tap, as you can see in the screen. So under that screens we make a new file, name as so image dot dot, and it's pretty simple. So let's come back to the image container component and make a inkwell. Now I think our app is almost ready. One thing is left, sorry for that. We have to use the multi-provider to mention that provider, that's the main provider, in the top of that, so that we can use it seemingly, otherwise that provider will not work. So guys, let's run the project. So guys, as you can see in the screen, there is a problem. The screen looks somewhat weird because the padding is not done well. So go to the base screen dot dot. Here you have to make a somewhat better padding to looks good, and from left 15, right 15, top 10, and bottom 5. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, looking decent. And I missed one more thing. In the search section, when calling a method from calling a method from that on anything complete. Here the no widget is built, so we have to write listen false. Cool. Now let's try. Before that, we have to mention one thing. If there is no images, we have to write no images is there. So where is that? So it's looking good when there is no images found. Let's search and see if we do anything wrong there. Just like love. The images is coming, and we come when the at the bottom new images is loaded. Here the new images you can see. When we come at the bottom, new images is loaded beautifully. Okay. So here if search I Delhi. And it fits all the images. The images sometimes take time to load because it's a very much loaded images. So yeah, so when I come to the bottom, new images getting load automatically. Is it cool? If I search here New York, then loading the start, and the images of New York is came easily, and when you go to the bottom, the images is loading very easily. So if we go to the bottom again, so new images is there already. The new images is loading already. Is it cool? So when we click on any images, we go to the next screen, and we can do one more thing here in the show image screen so that it will look good. We have to pass a param just like fit will be box fit dot cover. So it will cover the whole screen and it will be looking too much good. And you can see it's looking too much good. So let's try with the other images. Come here, that's a nice picture. When we double tap over it, the share window will become, and we can share through various things. So that's the beautiful images there. When we go to any picture and come back, the keyboard is appearing. So what we can do in the show image section, make it a stateful widget, and upon dispose, what it will hide the keyboard, because when the screen is closes, the keyboard is raising. So, and that hide keyboard is present under the device specific operation under the services folder. Device specific operation, you can see that method. So let's see if it is work or not. Make a hot reload there, and let's open a beautiful image. That's a beautiful image. When we come back here, the keyboard is automatically reduced. So that's all about the tutorial of making an image search engine using the Flutter. Hope you like this video. If you like, don't forget to like, comment, share, and don't forget to subscribe this channel. New tutorial is coming in the next week. Stay tuned for that. I will surely catch you up in the next one.